Hello, it's Monday the 30th of March today and we're still in the UK lockdown. Izzy's up there doing her maths in her little office study room, but we'll leave her to it. She always starts every school day off with maths because that's when she's at her most alert and she just wants to get it over with. Look how late it is, but guess what? I didn't put the clocks on. It is now 11:53. Yeah. Ooh, look at that mark there. I think that was from the previous clock as well. It's bigger than this one. Alright, that's that one back. Next. 11:54 now. This is an awkward one. And this one is my flute cave clock and the battery went, so it's kind of gone on slow-mo. I'm going to change the battery. Oh, it's a tough one. I can't get it off. Oh, right. Okay, I have lots of batteries. I bought these ages ago when they were on multi-buy. Oh, I've got it. There we are. I can go back in flute cave now. Back to its rightful home. I like to know how long I'm practicing things for. Like if I've got 12 tunes to work on and I've only got 2 hours, for instance, I would schedule to do 10 minutes on each, that kind of thing. Just to make sure everything gets practiced as evenly as possible. So the clock is an essential bit of my practice room kit. This bulb's annoying me, can you hear that? I'm wondering if I just change the bulb, will it stop doing it? I'm going to try. I found this the other day, it had come with me from the old house. So let's go and give it a go. Oh, is it a bayonet? Oh yeah. But in my special bayonet converter plug place, there is a special converter. Look, it converts it from a screw attachment to a bayonet. So there we are. All bases covered. Let's try again. Luckily I have some lamps down here. I had a load set up yesterday because I was doing a bit of filming down here. Changed it. That's massive, that one. Can't hear a noise. Oh, do you know what? It's been the bulb all along. It suddenly occurred to me yesterday while I was filming down here with all the lamps. That one's dead then. It was a bayonet, so it's a good job I had that converter because I haven't got a spare supply of light bulbs. That's no good in a lockdown, is it? I was actually sitting on this rug last night playing a board game with Izzy. I'm not very keen on board games, but I did. I did it because it's the lockdown and I quite enjoyed it in the end, actually. Look how filthy it is. I was thinking to myself, I think that needs a hoover. Doing my recycling bin because it's full, but it's such a big overhead now going out to put it in my wheelie bin outside where I've got to wash all my hands and wash the door handle and take my shoes off, and so I think it's just gonna stay in the house for a few days. Bye there. I find I generate a lot of paperwork very quickly as a home educator. Biological molecules. Right, where is it? No wonder I was confused because it was in human biology as opposed to biology, but some of the topics cross over and that one does. Hang on a minute, I'm getting mixed up now. Biological molecules we've definitely done already in biology, but it was way different. Look, this is biochemistry, but that was definitely in the IGCSE biology course, so that is completely different to the human biological molecules, which looks like this. So this is all, you know, periodic table stuff and bonds and things. Now I'm confused. This is last week's work, but I definitely need to go over it again with Izzy because she is really not interested in this topic, and so I really don't think a lot of it went in, so we're going to go through it again and I might find an alternative source. We'll probably do one of our YouTube treasure hunts when we look up different aspects on this sheet, for instance covalent bonding, things like that, and we'll search different videos on that topic and just watch the ones that she likes. So if she's not immediately engaging with it, we'll just skip ahead, but if she likes it and engages, we'll save it to a playlist so that can double up for revision later. Okay, scrap that. I found a book source instead, and Izzy's decorating a tin with some Sharpies while I read it to her. The tangent developed further. How's design coming on, Izzy?
Because of the Sharpie, like, it does these annoying little effects that can't be stopped. Which is annoying.
Well, we've done our science hour, haven't we? We've gone right tangential today.
Good.
And this is what we've done. I didn't want to film while we're doing it because it can disrupt the flow a bit. But what we did was we started out with this sheet and started looking at atoms and immediately veered straight off course and started to use this book, Horrible Science, The Stunning Science of Everything. I'll put a link in the description below just in case you're interested in that. And we looked at atoms in this book, which he finds really fun. Here's a question for you. Okay, true or false? If the nucleus was an elephant dropping, the electrons would be flies buzzing around it several meters away. True or false? What do you think? And the answer is false. The electrons would be several kilometers away and they'd be smaller than flies in relation to the elephant dropping. That's how much space there is in an atom. So we've been talking about how most of everything, including us, is actually made up of mostly space. And it was saying if it wasn't for the force that exists within the atoms, we could walk through walls, because the walls are made of mostly space and we are made of mostly space, and the actual nuclei and the electrons are just teeny tiny proportions of the actual atoms that make us. So there we are, there was that. We learned a bit about quarks, which are what make up those protons and neutrons. And every time we came across an element, we scooted over to this book, and I'll leave a link to this in the description as well. And Izzy was having me read these out in daft character voices, doing a bit of acting. So yeah, learning about the characteristics, but taken from a context from another book. We had our periodic table of elements here propped up on the laptop, and Izzy was playing Find the Element as we encountered them in the book. And also, as we were going along, we were looking up things on YouTube, just on the phone, like little 1-minute videos of, for instance, we were talking about nitrogen, which obviously makes up most of the air we breathe, and we were talking about its characteristics at a lower temperature when it becomes liquid nitrogen. And so we were just looking at the, you know, the really obvious video of them freezing the rose and then smashing the rose to bits that's been in liquid nitrogen. So when we came across oxygen, we were looking at oxidation reactions. So that sparked off a spontaneous activity, which was invisible ink. So this is just lemon juice here. We haven't finished this off yet. I'm going to have to Google how to do it. I think it's just apply a heat source. I think that's all it is, and it should turn brown. So it's invisible ink at the moment, but Izzy's hidden it because she said I would be able to see what it was while it was still wet because it was visible. So we'll try that later on. Oh, and we also watched a tiny clip from Threads, the film. Do you remember Threads? Horrific film, which was made during the Cold War and shown to children in UK schools. I don't know when it was. Hang on. This. Anybody remember this? It's a 15, look. But anyway, we just watched a clip of that on YouTube, the bit where the bomb goes off. I was terrified when I first saw this, and I didn't even see it till I was an adult. Originally transmitted in 1984, it tells the story of a fictitious nuclear strike in Sheffield, UK during the Cold War. It was so powerfully done because they made it just like a documentary, you see, and it started out, I think, following true events and was very, it just looked like a documentary. But then they went off into the realms of fantasy when the bomb actually got deployed, because that never really happens in real life, but it did in this. And the story goes on into the future and shows how life in Britain was after the bomb dropped. So chilling stuff. But Isabel laughed her head off all the way through the clip. But there we are. Sometimes I think people laugh with things because they don't want to admit that they're scary, and it's like a coping mechanism. So it might have been a bit of that, I don't know. Don't tell her I said so. She'll be like, no, it was funny. Because it's dated, obviously. It's really dated now. But, oh, yeah. If you fancy terrifying yourself, go and look up Threads. We're going to have a quick toasty break now and then crack on with English probably after lunch. Not sure if we're doing language or literature. I'll let Izzy choose. She's having a plain old boring ham toasty. That looks done actually. And I am going to have a sliced mushroom, chilli flake and Emmental slice toasty. It is under there. It's my beeswax wrap. That is, I'm using it instead of cling film. Here you go, darling. One toasty. We're working our way through the box set of Call the Midwife. Isabel's really into it. Oh, there's a mermaid with actual feet sticking out the end.
It's unmutated.
Oh, okay. A bit about DNA's obviously gone in a bit.
Yeah, and also it's warm, but it's not long enough for my tootsies.
Well, you're not supposed to put it up to your shoulders, that's
no,
why.
Because
there we
it
are.
has loads of extra material.
Oh yeah, give us a little mermaidy demo. Aww. Perhaps if you put your feet out sideways a bit, make it taily. Oh, there we are. Oh, hang on. There we are. That's my little mermaid.
Got a little bit of toe action. For all you feet lovers.
Yes, it's protruding slightly. We've had our toasties and watched an episode, and this is the topics that were brought up in the episode. I made a little note. Tropical diseases, the polio vaccine, which is an ongoing theme in the series, prisoner of war camp. So one of the characters was recalling experiences of being in a prisoner of war camp as an 8-year-old. 9-year-old. Life in the 1960s now, but it started off as life in the 1950s in the East End of London. My parents are from London, so that would have been around the time that they were growing up. So it's good to have a bit of a reference from where we came from, sort of thing. Very interesting to compare life then and now. I've got a cat's bum in my face. I haven't finished yet. I'm on a roll. Slum housing, the tenement housing in the East End of London during the 50s and 60s. There was the first photograph of Earth from space, which was published in the newspaper in that episode. So technological advancements in that era. There was a baby born who had breathing trouble initially, and they got the priest in quick to christen the baby. So that opened up a discussion about certain beliefs as well. So that was useful. And the topic of adoption came up too. So all in all, quite rich, dense, learning-y stuff. I'm just mentioning it because there's lots of new home editors at the moment, and you might be one of them, and just so you know that you can do something as simple as watch an episode or something together, and the stuff it triggers, it's all valuable learning experience, even though it could be fictitious. But if it's like a period drama, you can get a lot out of that. Izzy has opted for English language next, which we tend to do on the sofa, don't we, Iz? One at one end of the sofa and one at the other, and I read it to her. Izzy's on the very last chapter of her English language IGCSE course. It looks like this might be very exam specific, to be honest. We'll read through it and see. A few pages. Is there an assignment? Yes, there is an assignment. Oh, it's doing a mock exam. Okay. We may or may not do that now because she's not actually doing her exams until next year. So I don't know if I want to be doing mocks at the moment, or maybe we'll switch to literature, but we'll read through it and see what it says and then decide. It's about 4:15 in the afternoon now. I've just done my last bit of homeschooling with Izzy for the day, reading her history to her. We did English. We pretty much finished off everything in our English language curriculum. And she's not even supposed to be doing the exam until June next year, so that's pretty good going. We've saved the very last assignment, which is to do a mock exam, because I don't want to use up the prepaid marking now a whole year before the exam. So if she's still doing the Edexcel curriculum exam next year and doesn't go to college, then we'll revise the whole of the course, and I'll get Catherine Mooney, the tutor, to mark her past paper really much closer to the exam. I think that would be a better use of it. So we switched to literature, and we've been analysing poetry from the 1800s. which is very interesting because there was lots of very oldie worldy vocabulary in it that neither of us knew what that meant, so it was quite interesting to get a little window into that world. After that I went through her history text with her, and it was looking at how far spread around the whole of the world was the fighting in World War One, because obviously not everywhere in the world was involved, even though they called it a world war. So she's off doing some independent work now on her laptop. She's going to answer some questions in the textbook pretty much, so she's got to glean those answers out of the text. It's a bit like a reading comprehension, I suppose, a kind of a style of an activity. So she's going to do that. I'm going to go and have a sleep because I'm knackered. And when she's finished that, she's going to just finish off some more maths, because we're trying to just catch up to where she should be with the maths still. So she's doing like maths homework at the end of every day just to try and make up for lost time until we're back where she should be. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!